Good evening. Welcome again to Varsity Sports Live. Tom Neiman along with Jason and Dara as we roll on midway through the high school football season. And
we learned a lot this week, Tom.
Did we? What game were you at this afternoon? There was an early game.
I went to a 2:30 game out in Menno, beautiful Menno, South Dakota, to watch the #1 rated Winter Warriors, and they asserted their dominance in that one. But
over Jim River. Jim River is
over Jim River,
Scotland, Menno. Jim River's kind of
much improved from the 2 9-man teams to come together and play as an 11-man team. But Winter is just in a different class.
All right, we learned that. Well, we didn't really learn that because we knew that, but
we didn't know that.
South Dakota scoreboard tonight starts with Harrisburg and Washington, Jamie. 29-23 in double overtime.
What the heck? I can't wait for highlights on that one.
Harrisburg stays undefeated. Brandon Valley gets by O'Gorman 13-10. Some highlights of that as well as Brandon Valley is 4-0.
Yeah, they're scoring about 13 points a game, but they are 4-0.
What about this one? Jefferson and Yankton go back and forth in Yankton, and Jefferson wins it 38-35.
Jefferson just likes to play in thrillers. I mean, every week, if they have a big lead, they let the other team come back, and if they get behind, they come back.
Jefferson, the Cavs. Roll on there. Rapsy Stevens and Lincoln. Lincoln looked good again. They get to 3-1. It was, or it will be, Rhapsody Central and Sioux Falls Roosevelt. That game is coming up on Saturday in Sioux Falls. T-Area moving up to 11 AA, and they just keep stomping people.
No problem. No problem for T. They dominated tonight, and their schedule gets a little tougher here in the next couple weeks.
Mitchell led that game 14-7 at halftime. He had 40 unanswered points in the second half. Governor shut out Douglas 43-0. Lincoln Keenholz, I think 3 or 4 more touchdown passes tonight for the Govs. 4 touchdowns for Keenholz as they beat Douglas tonight 43-0. Brookings is 3-1. They get by Aberdeen Central tonight. Aberdeen Central's first loss.
They brought the defense tonight. Brookings was able to hold Sam Rolfs, and that's the first team this year that can say that they took care of Sam Rolfs.
It was Watertown with a late field goal to beat the Tigers 24-22. Spearfish gets its first win, 21-19 tonight over Sturgis.
That's a little bit of an upset. Spearfish, they've come a long way in the last couple of years, and to beat Sturgis Brown tonight, hats off to the Spartans.
In 11A, Canton over Vermillion tonight, 42-7. Canton gets to 4-0. Madison is 4-0 as well after a shutout in the Bulldog battle tonight against Millbank.
Millbank's going to be a team to be reckoned with before this thing's over.
Dell Rapids doubles up on Lennox. Got some highlights of that coming up. West Central shuts out Sioux Falls Christian.
I was at that game, and we talked to the players and coaches afterward. And I'll tell you what, these Trojans can play some defense.
Both teams 3-1 there after West Central's win. Winner, as you said, all over Jim Rivers Trappers this afternoon, 61-12. Some highlights coming up. Sioux Valley is 3-1, and McCook Central Montrose 3-1 as well after their first loss.
That's a game I definitely wanted to pay attention to. McCook Central Montrose came in undefeated, taking on Sioux Valley, and Sioux Valley gets a quality win. It's a jumble right after Winter in 11B right now.
Big numbers. Canastota Freeman and Garrettson in overtime. 56-50, Canastota Freeman.
I honestly, this is news to me. I haven't checked out all the scores yet. 106 points in a 9-man football game. That looked like a lot of fun. As
it should be. Herreid Selby area keeps rolling 60-6 tonight. We got some highlights of that game coming up as well. And Wall is 5-0, Jandy.
Yeah, Lyman came in undefeated. They're 9AA, Wall's in 9A. And we're just not sure how good Wall is. They are a top 5 team. 9A is really tough. That's a good win for them to be able to beat an undefeated team bigger. And then always keeping our eye on 9B as well. This is the game of the night in 9B. In Falkton area gets by Hitchcock-Tulare. This is the second week in a row. Hitchcock-Tulare has played a really close game, but has come up just a little short.
Falkton is 4-1 on the season. All right, in North Dakota tonight, West Fargo all over Fargo Davies 42-6. We'll take a look at that game. West Fargo Cheyenne shuts out Bismarck. Second straight week now. Bismarck has been shut out, and the Mustangs keep rolling there. We got highlights of that one coming up. Williston Bismarck Legacy. There it is, a final now as Legacy rolls 63-7. Mandan over Minot 35-21. St. Mary's and Shanley, big matchup tonight. Highlights coming up. St. Mary's wins 28-21, and look at this score. Century It is their 26th straight win for the #1 team, but 15-12 is the final.
That's the surprise of the night. Dickinson came to play. They've had a couple games where they've been close this year, but Century somehow pulls it out.
They got a kickoff return touchdown in the fourth quarter. Century did to win that one. In 11A, Fargo North all over Grand Forks Central tonight, 50-0. The live game we had here on Midcoast Sports, Grand Forks Red River over Fargo South. We'll check in with our guys coming up here in a minute on that one. Jamestown, #1 in 11A, 41-0 tonight over Watford City. It was Wahpeton getting to 3-1, 35-14 tonight over Valley City. 11B in North Dakota, Kindred. First loss for Central Cass. Highlights of this one coming up. Kindred and Central Cass both 4-1 now after that 37-0 win tonight for the Vikings. Lisbon is 4-1 now, 52-7 tonight over Oak Grove. Elsewhere in 11B, Langdon-E-M -Munich, 5-0 now after a win over Thompson tonight. Velva is 4-0 after they beat Rugby 14-6. Beulah on top of Southern McLean tonight, 48-14, and no report on that Almond County game.
It does say Shiloh Christian, 13-6, won that game. We didn't have it on the board yet, but Shiloh with the win.
And 9-man football, New Salem-Almont gets to 5-0, 48-28 over Napoleon-G-S tonight. Some highlights of that one coming up. And MayPort-C-G is 5-0 as well in 9-man football, a win over Finley Sharon Hope Page, 36-20. All right, Janny Man, Jody Norstead and Brian Sean with that live game in Grand Forks tonight means that we have the North Dakota duties.
We're really excuse me, I can't even talk. We're really getting to know these North Dakota teams, and it's a lot of fun to see. And there were some games that weren't as close as I thought they might be.
This was probably one of them. Sheyenne and Bismarck. Sheyenne, #2 in the big schools, 3-0 coming into this one. Bismarck at 1-2, and Caden Rohr. Explosive out of the Sheyenne backfield. Big gain to pick up a first down there for the Mustangs. Little defense coming the other way as well. And again, they shut out Bismarck tonight. Tate Gustafson with a big defensive play there for the Stangs as he swats that away. And then Sheyenne gets on the scoreboard here. Grant Warkentine to Xander Newton, the head coach's kid, puts on the moves there, skates in. And that was the only score they really needed. Sheyenne over Bismarck tonight, 37-0, as the Mustangs just keep on rolling. They are 4-0, and again, Bismarck shut out for the second straight week.
Yeah, Bismarck, since Isaiah, who's not able to play, have really struggled to find big plays on offense, and it showed up tonight once again. Let's go to West Fargo, where Davies took on the Packers. Big AA showdown, and from the get-go, it would not be the Eagles' night. First offensive play for the Packers, it's Parker Nelson. He's loose, 62 yards. He rumbles, and a few plays later, he would punch it in himself. Look at that nice cap to the drive for Parker Nelson, 7-0 Packers. Later first half, Peyton Janzi. He hooks up with Aaron Magnell for a 40-yard gain. Pack are back in business, and then it's Dorian Tarley who converted from 4 yards out, so they continue to put it in the red zone and then find a way to punch it in. 14-0, methodically ahead of the Eagles. Davies would go to some trickeration late in the half. Ray Brown connects with Nick Hasbargen, 38 yards, but the Packers would hold on defense, would stop that drive, turn it around. Parker Nelson takes his third touchdown of the night on a 1-yard plunge, and the Packers up 28-0. Eagles trying to show some signs of life, and they do here in the second half as Eli Mock picks off Janzi. But down by 4 scores, might be a little late. They did end up getting the touchdown here. Jameson Wanzik from 20 yards out scores the 6. They do not get the PAT. But it was the Packers' night. West Fargo has the whiteout going, and Caden Zepeda, another big play, 38 yards. Look at him stretch out for that one. And the Pack roll tonight. Both teams 2-2, but gotta feel good for the West Fargo Packers, winning 42-6.
All right, in Dickinson tonight, Bismarck Century, the #1 team in North Dakota, 3-0, 25 wins in a row. First possession of the game, Brady Dahl gets across on the QB sneak, and 7-0 Patriots, but that was all the scoring in the first half of this one. Third quarter now from their own one. Peyton Arndt fumbles. Jackson Melvin on it for the Midgets.
Oh boy.
And 3 plays later, goes through Troy Berg's hands, finds it though, and he finds Chase Selly for the touchdown.
Just like they planned it.
Century still in the lead after a missed extra point there. Dickinson, though, goes on a 20-play drive. Berg for the touchdown. The Midgets take the lead, but could not hold it. Again, Century scored on a kickoff return touchdown late in this one, and #1 survives and holds on 15-12.
How strong is that #1 for Century after a 3-point win, and they needed a kick return touchdown to get the win?
And they get Mandan coming up next week. Mandan won again tonight. All right, Shanley and St. Mary's. Shanley in 11AA, St. Mary's 2-1 in 11A as well. So this game was back and forth and came down to the wire. Shanley, John Gores from the 40 to the 30. This is going to go all the way back. Nice little cut there at the end. So 7-0. Shanley gets out to the lead.
Gotta love getting points on the board when you don't have to go against St. Mary's defense.
St. Mary's comes back. Nick Schumacher to Landon Gerving. They hooked up a couple of times in this one. Tied it at 7-7. But Shanley goes back on top. Mike Rostberg to Gores for his second score of the night. 14-7 Shanley. And then Shanley actually opens up a 2-touchdown lead here. Rosberg again coming back the other way to Gores, his third score of the first half. 21-7, Shanley in the lead at halftime. But St. Mary's gets it going in the second half. Isaac Felkley, I'm not sure, sorry Isaac, but you got a touchdown right there. It's 21-14. And then Shanley would fumble the kickoff after this, and Schumacher goes to Nate Fedorchek to tie it at 21. And St. Mary's was not done with the comeback yet. They get it back. Schumacher again. That's Gerving again. Hooked it up on the first score, and this one goes big, 28-21. And St. Mary's holds them off. They get an interception here. Shanley did have the ball there at the end, but an interception ends it, and St. Mary's knocks off Shanley 28-21.
How about that halftime speech? Let's stop John Gores and control the ball. And it worked. St. Mary's with the big comeback.
Made some halftime adjustments that were key. Changed up the way we're guarding the receivers, and we hustled a lot harder in the second half. I think it's huge. It's a big confidence booster. You know, our guys worked hard, deserved this win, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to celebrating with them.
Crank up the hustle in the second half.
Hustled harder in the second half.
To get it done. According to Jody Norstedt, Shanley and West Fargo wrap up playoff spots tonight already in the East in 11AA. So anyway, Shanley with the win there over, or excuse me, St. Mary's with the win over Shanley.
Good bounce back.
All right. 11A, well, let's get to this one first of all. Fargo South and Grand Forks Red River tonight. Our live game here on Midco Sports. Our guys on the call in this game didn't have a ton of offense, but it was close. But let's go to Jody Norstedt and Bishan with the wrap on South and Red River.
Thanks, guys. A fun one tonight between Red River and Fargo South. Both teams kind of in that desperate spot already in mid-September to try to get a conference win. And boy, special teams really the story in this one. Red River gets a kickoff return for a touchdown, a game-winning field goal in the final seconds. Let's take a look back between the Rough Riders and the South Bruins. Early on, Red River tried to catch South off guard going with the onside kick, Brian, but to no avail.
Almost got it. Kind of an interesting way to start. Special teams a huge part of this game.
Carter Byron opened the scoring with 8:10 left in the second, a 35-yard field goal. Landon Dokken fired back with a 30-yarder of his own with 27 seconds left in the second. Then they kick off, and on the ensuing kickoff, Payne Parks breaks it wide open, 98 yards for the touchdown.
Yeah, man, excellent blocking. Everything just opened up. He never had to break stride, and you see Payne Parks, an explosive talent, speed and power all the way, and that was a huge score at the end of the first half.
He has a preferred walk-on offer from UND, an offer from MSU Moorhead, a sought-after recruit. Hiker having trouble. South's defense swarming to start the second half. Dorian Sandness played great on both sides of the football. This punt was really nice from Carter Byron.
Yeah, was able to drop it in there. Was touched about the 15-yard line, and had it not been touched, would have been down to the 4.
Then South really starts to connect. Colby Nissen with his best drive of his young career so far hits Jack Corbel for a 17-yard touchdown. They have the extra point attempt to take the 10-9 lead, but it's blocked by Arison.
Yeah, and it was 3rd and 15 on that touchdown throw. I mean, that was a huge play in the game, but credit Arison. Red River fired up. This is 4th and 10. This is the football game. And McQuillan, the guy beaten for the touchdown, comes up with a huge catch.
And this is with just seconds to go. A penalty backs them up, but a 27-yard field goal attempt from Carter Byron with 1 second left knocks it through the uprights. Byron, who had missed a field goal earlier in the second half, connects on that one, and he is a hero tonight for Red River, pulling out the 12-9 victory without getting an offensive touchdown, but offense able to muster up the plays when they needed to, especially on that 4th down near the end to get the win. Let's hear from the Rough Riders after the game.
Oh, yeah, coaches are coming over and just, hey, we're going to kick the field goal here, and it's just clear your head. That's all they were telling me, and I just went up and cleared the brain, didn't think about the last two, only thought about kicking that thing straight, so I knew where I was going to kick it, and snap was good, hold was good, and kick was good.
All right, right on. Good for him. Just clear it out, do your job, and they get it done. Red River gets to 2-2 now, and they are at Fargo North coming up next week. Fargo North, by the way, did beat Grand Forks Central tonight 50-0, but let's go to Kindred in 11B. Central Cass, our Squirrels went down tonight, Jandy. Central Cass was 4-0 coming into this one. Kindred at 3-1. It's the first time they played each other in 27 years. 3 minutes into the game, Max McQuillan up the middle for a 20-yard gain. A couple minutes later, Trey Heinrich punches it in, and the Vikings are off and running with their first touchdown. They fake the extra point, and Jorgen Swenson goes to Charlie Bewer. So it's 8-0 Kindred off and running. Second quarter now, 4th down. Owen Wiersma with the catch, but he gets stuffed by Heinrich, and they have to turn it over on downs as Kindred staunch defensively. Later, McQuillan tries to throw one deep. Guess who picked it off there, Jandy? Frosty Wisniewski got a hand on it. Jake Deutsch comes up with the pick. Some trickery then Wiersma gives to Deutsch, who sends it deep, and there's Wisniewski, who hauls in the long play, but the Squirrels came up empty on the drive. They did not get a touchdown across tonight.
Still 8-0 at half.
It's only 8-0 Kindred. Third quarter, McQuillan keeps it himself. Blockers out in front. 30 yards for the score there. And then they go to Heinrich for the 2-point conversion. So 15-0. Or excuse me, second touchdown there on the Heinrich run. 15-0 Vikings. Central Cass on the 5-yard line, but picked off. It's Heinrich again. Takes that out to the 30-yard line. And then in the fourth, Squirrels just could not catch a break. Heinrich fumble, bounces past a Squirrel. Max Opgren falls on it for a touchdown. Everything going right for Kindred.
Everything going right for Trey Heinrich.
They win at 37-0. So the Squirrels and the Vikings both 4-1.
It feels so good. We've been working so hard this off season, this whole week. You know, we've been grinding our butts off the whole time, and it feels amazing. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of everyone. You know, we're all a big family, and we're playing really well together right now, and I can't wait for the rest of the season.
All right, let's go to Thompson in 11B. Langdon-E-M-MORE-MUNICH 4-0, taking on Thompson at 2-2. And the opening drive of the third quarter here, Langdon's already up 20-6. Race Worley dumps it off. Carter Tetro does the rest. And it's a 20-point lead on the road for the Cardinals. Later in the third, Thompson on a 4th and long. They fake it. Cole Potter The punter takes it down, gets the first down to extend the drive. A couple plays later, Kyle Odenbach with the touchdown throw for the Tommies right here. Rolling, and that is a great grab by Jacob Starkovic. Thompson still down though, 26-12. And then Langdon-E-M would come right back. Tatro again, coming up this time on the ground. Fighting his way through, and Langdon-E-M-MUNICH running away with it as they get to 5-0. Jandy, 38-15 was the final tonight over Thompson.
Nice win for the Cardinals, still in the top 5.
All right, 9-man football, North Dakota. New Salem-Almont taking on Napoleon-G-S. And New Salem 4-0 coming into this game. Holstein's wasting no time. First possession, Ty Wolding with the sneak. And they're up by 6, but Wolding again from the 5 next time down. A little extra strength effort. Crosses there. They missed the extra point again, but it's 12-0. New Salem-Almont not done with their game-opening run. Wolding to pass this time finds Wyatt Kuhn in the corner. And the Holsteins pouring it on the road, 18-0. They are in the lead, but Napoleon not laying down. Second quarter, Tucker Schneider on the quarterback run up the gut there to get the Imperials on the board. And they did score some points tonight, but so did New Salem-Almont. And the Holsteins get to 5-0 with a 48-28 win tonight over Napoleon-G-S. First loss of the year for the Imperials. All right, one more 9-man game in North Dakota. Finley, Sharon Hopage, 3-1, taking on MayPort-C-G at 4-0 in Mayville. And Finley, Sharon with the sweep. Zyler Carlson gets the big gain on the opening drive. Later in the drive, Liam Satram behind his man Jacobson there.
That's a live ball, folks.
Live ball, and Mayport is all over it. Cole Kritzenberger on the fumble recovery. And then fast forward to the end of the first quarter. Handoff to Jacobson. Takes it in the inside the 5 to set up first and goal. Turn it around, flip the field to start the second quarter, and Jacobson will plunge it in for the touchdown. And it is MayPort-C-G at home tonight. They get to 5-0. Patriots a final of 36-20 tonight. All right, Fargo North, little tailgating up there tonight with Grand Forks Central and North. First quarter, Knights handed off sophomore running back Jack Simmers. Scampers for 20 yards before he fumbles it, and Fargo North is on it. And then with 7 minutes to go in the half, Danny Boutain to Carson Schultes for the jump ball touchdown. And North rolled up a half a century tonight as they win it 50-0 over Grand Forks Central. And the Spartans are now 3-1 on the season.
They're a potential title contender in 11A this year with just one loss on the season.
All right, when we come back, we will get to the South Dakota highlights of the night. Sioux Falls, Washington, and Harrisburg in a really good game tonight. Brandon Valley and O'Gorman as well. South Dakota stuff coming up next.
Varsity Sports Live on Midcoast Sports is presented by Farmers Union Insurance. Varsity Sports Live on Midcoast Sports is presented by Avera Orthopedics and South Dakota State University.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. I told you Sioux Falls, Washington was good.
You did. We have a lot of discussions in the office, and we were trying to figure out, where's Washington? Where do they fit into this? We found out they've got a very good defense. They did some things tonight against Harrisburg that nobody's been able to do yet.
All right, this game goes to double overtime. Start out with Washington and Harrisburg. Washington 2-1 coming in. Harrisburg at 3-0 out of Tigers Stadium. Max Thompson gets it started for Washington. Thomas Peterson's been a nice target for him this year.
Most underrated receiver in the state, right there. I said it.
Timon Long with an interception for the Tigers and gets them close. It turns into a Jacob Knuth rushing touchdown. Only 7-7 at halftime, Jandy.
They weren't giving him anything downfield. Jacob Knuth had a lot of runs like that early on and tried to loosen things up. He has that ability.
Bryce Soley and Chris Peterson traded field goals to make it 10-10.
Titan Tryon who got hit.
There you go, is Bryce Soley's field goal. 10-10. Knuth had a rushing touchdown to make it 17-10. And then we get going here.
Elijah Tanai with the big run. He's the one guy on this team they can depend on for big plays, and then they convert on the field goal as well.
Chris Peterson's field goal ties it 10-10. All right, this is fourth quarter now. Knuth with a rushing touchdown, 17-10. And then Washington coming back down the other way. That's Josh Piper to tie it at 17. And it sends it to overtime. Overtime, Elijah Tanai with a touchdown for Washington. Extra point was no good. Nobody could make an extra point in overtime, so it's 23-17, Washington in the lead. Harrisburg gets their chance. Knuth to Cade Larson. Extra point no good, so it's 23-23.
Oh.
They fumbled the snap there on the extra point, so it stays tied. Second overtime. Thompson picked by Carter Barenfuss to seal it up. Gavin Ross scored a touchdown for Harrisburg in the second overtime there to make it 29-23 the final. And the Tigers live another day, Jandy, 4-0 now.
Tested 2 weeks in a row, and they passed the test. So they're able to win some close games. Not going to be super easy for these Tigers. But here's Jacob Knuth after the big win.
That was a fun game. I mean, start to finish, they're a great football team. Just really shows our team's resilience, battling the whole game, even through overtime. That was a heck of a game. It was just fun to be a part of.
That's the toughest defense I think they've seen all year. And they had trouble. Again, they took the long plays away downfield. And Knuth did what he could to move the ball, but they definitely weren't the free-flowing offense that they're used to having, and they still found a way to win.
Washington drops to 2-2, but yeah, the Warriors,
they're going to be there.
Might be around there at the end. All right,
they might have the best defense out of anybody here.
Really?
Well, Brandon's pretty good too.
Brandon Valley was 3-0 coming into tonight's game at Sioux Falls O'Gorman at the MAC, and no score in the first, but Lucas Slack tries to sneak on third down there, gets much more, 41 yards to the 5-yard line. He was shaken up a little bit, had to come out. A couple plays later, Jack Thuy is in at quarterback, but he coughs it up. David Alpers recovers the fumble for O'Gorman, and Brandon Valley denied on that drive. And then the Knights take advantage, backed up deep. Bennett Dannenbring to Peyton Haig up the middle, 67 yards. They'll run him down, but gets them off their own goal line.
One of the few big plays that O'Gorman was able to muster. They ended it up with the field goal attempt by Andrew Nelson, who puts it through.
3-0 Knights. Brandon Valley, though, next drive. Slack back in the ball game to Peyton Carroll. Carroll had a nice night, 17-yard touchdown, and Brandon Valley in the lead at halftime, 7-3. Third quarter now. O'Gorman takes advantage of a short field. Maverick Jones in from 2 yards out. And the Knights go back on top 10-7. Later in the third, though, Jordan Johnson with his own 2-yard run. Extra point no good. Brandon Valley goes back on top, though, 13-10. And go to the fourth quarter now. Still 13-10, about 4 minutes to go. Watch this catch by Peyton Carroll.
Yeah, that's called concentration.
Got it. Kept the clock moving. Neither team would score again, but that was a big catch to keep that drive going. The Lynx do what they need to do to get the win, 13-10 the final, and Brandon Valley matches Harrisburg now at 4-0.
It was a grinder. I mean, we've got teams in AAA right now, like O'Gorman, a 1-3 team.
Yeah.
That's a very solid team. We've got Roosevelt 0-3. They are a very solid team. But after the game, we talked to Brandon Valley, who has found a way to win each time. Here's Peyton Carroll after the game.
We're Brandon football. We figure it out. We got plans after plans to come at you guys. Even though a blowout's good, but a nice close win is even better because that means that's a team win, not just one-sided. Team wins I like team wins way better than blowouts, and that's what it is in football. It's team.
Find a way to get it done, Brandon.
Figure it out, man. And they have. That's exactly what they've done so far this year. They figured it out. The Jefferson game was actually the one game where they felt like they were in control. All the rest of the games they've played so far have been very tight.
Speaking of Jefferson, they were at Yankton tonight. And Talon Ashley, another big game.
Well, he hits Griffin Wilde, who gets down to the 2-yard line, and then Talon would keep it himself. That's not a new idea for Talon Ashley, and he'll score. They're up 7-3. Ashley will cross the middle. Cody Oswald, this guy is interception machine for Yankton. If you haven't watched this kid play, he's worth the price of admission, offensively and defensively. Then Robbie Reichen gets picked off by Bo Giblin, takes it 55 yards for the pick 6. And Bo Giblin, one of those safeties on this team with starting experience, who's really showed up this season.
Oh.
Yeah, but look at that little trickeration. Robert Hutchinson on the double reverse, 21-6. Easy, right? Well, Yankton came back. Gavin Swanson runs it from 12 yards out. They're right back in the ball game, 21-12. And then guess who?
Ashley?
Talon Ashley, good guess. Throws such a nice ball, doesn't he?
Wilde?
Griffin Wilde makes it look way too easy. He catches it over the shoulder. The Giants guy couldn't do that last night, but Griffin Wilde can.
Look at the Bucs,
Speaking of great catches, this is that Cody Oswald I was telling you about again. This guy had a 3-touchdown game earlier this year, and then they punched it in later, so this thing would be close. Tyler Solar goes down to the 3-yard line, and James Stewart pushes his way in for 6, 28-28. And then Reichen throws across the middle. There's Tyler Solar. I was ahead on my shot sheet. He takes it down
Reichen
to the 3-yard line.
Solars, Jandy, football players.
That's how they do it. And then we see James Stewart take the snap to push it in. 28-28. Ashley then would have to find a way to make something happen. He's going to go to one of his stud receivers, Robert Hutchinson, across the middle, one-on-one coverage. He wins that, 38-35. They got a late interception to seal the deal, and Jefferson finds a way to win on the road against a tough Yankton Buck team.
Yeah, Yankton.
That was fun.
Again, Yankton playing up a level there, staying right with the Cavaliers. We get to 3-1.
Hey, there's Nathan Andera.
Oh, isn't he cute? You know who else is pretty good? Lincoln.
Lincoln's not bad, but they had turnover trouble. 3 turnovers in the first half. Here's one of them.
Luke Chiolis had an interception and a fumble recovery early on for the Raiders.
And they also had a problem with Jed Jensen running up the middle. This guy was a tough runner, and just before you know it, first quarter, he's got his team, the Raiders, up 7-0, but then it's a nice little pass to their other quarterback, Trenton Peterson, who takes it down to the 2-yard line. It was punched in. Gives us a hi, Mom. I always like that. Gabe Gutierrez punched it in, and then Angel Jershegi comes down the field and punches it in, and then the avalanche started for Lincoln. They got past those early turnovers. They turned up the defense. There's Jackson Gertis with a sack. They had 5 big sacks on the night, and Sioux Falls Lincoln was in control from that point on.
Tate Schaefer's number there, 230 yards, a couple of touchdowns, did get intercepted twice. Jensen went to Ogle for a touchdown in this one as well, but the Patriots are 3-1 now after that win over Stevens tonight. Aberdeen Central and Brookings. Jandy, Aberdeen 3-0 coming into this game. Brookings at 2-1. And a little streaming action for you. Sam Rolfs, 26-yard touchdown there to put the Golden Eagles ahead 7-0. But Justin Colfell, quarterback sneak for the Bobcats, ties at 7-7. Aberdeen from their own 4-yard line, bad snap. It's a safety.
There's a recurring problem. That happened about 4 times last week. I'm sure they've got to tidy that up before Aberdeen Central can be a contender.
Cole McEwen down to the 15-yard line there, and then Jackson Eck will weave his way into the end zone, put the Bobcats up 16-7, and they would not give up the lead 30-7 tonight, Brookings.
I think a lot of people are surprised by this. Brookings lost that first game of the year against T. We kind of forgot about them. We actually moved them out of the rankings, and now they come out and beat an undefeated Aberdeen Central team at home, and they did it by running the football, and they did it by stopping Sam Rolfs on defense. Great team effort for the Bobcats.
Also in 11AA, Pierre at Douglas tonight. Pierre's 2-1. They lost that opener to Harrisburg, but They could run it the rest of the way. Who knows? Peyton DeWitt, 40-yard run on the first play of the game there for Douglas, but the Patriots could not capitalize on that one. And then Lincoln Keenholz going to work. Matthew Hansen on a little crossing route, takes it down to the 5-yard line, and then Keenholz to Cade Kaiser.
Yeah, Lincoln Keenholz is so good at reading defenses and playing against Douglas. Douglas has a big defensive line, but they gave him plenty of time, and he was able to make his reads.
Sidearm sling there from Keenholz. Patriots punting here. Jaden Wiebe. This is going to come back the other way, go 60 yards.
Yeah, Wiebe, one of those guys who has a little bit of experience. They don't have many of those guys, but still an underclassman. He comes up with a big play for the Govs.
Governor run here by Brock Mosier. Don't they have about 150 guys on their roster at Pierre? They got a ton of kids out for football.
Maybe not 150, but they do pretty well for a small school.
They do. Coach Steele's really building it up out there. Keenholz to Jack Merkwan for a touchdown. 21-0 Governors. And then Keenholz to somebody else, Brecken Kruger. On the money, good grab.
So that's good news for the Govs to be able to spread the ball out to several different players. And Lincoln Keenholz driving that car up and down the field.
Keenholz with the wheels, going to take this down to the 1, and they would punch in a score from there. 41-0 at halftime and 43-0 final.
Yeah, the Govs, you got Aberdeen now, you got Brookings, you got all these teams with one loss sitting right behind T. It's going to be fun watching how 11AA develops this year.
11A, Jandy, Lennox and Dell Rapids. Landon Rusink, big night for him.
Yeah, Landon Rusink, one of the faster players in the class, and he finds the end zone. 7-0, we were pretty low scoring. This Lennox team has been in a lot of close games, and we've seen a lot of this guy, Stephen Christian, come down with big plays, and that's the guy you got to stop if you're Dell Rapids.
Yeah, Braden Wolf, Lennox quarterback, was throwing it all over the yard tonight, but Rusink with an interception with the one-hand snag there. It was only a 15-6 game at this point. Dell Rapids in the lead, but they got a Landon Van Holten touchdown to make it 21-6. They got a pick six from Braden Pankinen to go up 28-6. And Dell Rapids with a win, 28-14.
I think these two teams both look like top 5 teams. I wouldn't be surprised to see them stay, Lennox, but that is, stay in the top 5 even with that loss.
What about Sioux Falls Christian and West Central?
Here we go. This is a high-flying Sioux Falls Christian team. Started out the game on 4th down, going for it in West Central territory, couldn't get it, and as we close out the second quarter, it's big play time. Jake Kremchis finds his way into the end zone on a huge play. That put him up 6-0 going into halftime. And then coming out in the second half, West Central just controlled the game with their defense and running the ball up the field. Here's a look at Logan Maris getting his first career touchdown. Gets the congrats from head coach Chris Hernandez. And then another big play from Gavin Cook at quarterback. Braden Dierks. This guy had a huge week last week with a 10-catch week. He is their go-to guy. And look at this, a 3-score lead. Sioux Falls Christian not on the board yet. West Central gets a late interception, and then you get the great coach dive here, following in the tradition that they started last year, where the coach comes in and makes it happen, and West Central goes with the win.
Shocked that Sioux Falls Christian did not score.
I am shocked too, and so after the game, guess what? I asked a little bit about the defense, and Logan Maris told me what they did to stop Sioux Falls Christian.
We're back. I mean, we showed it. Our offense came up big there at the end of the half with that big touchdown, obviously, and then they just kept going, and defense came up big when we needed to, and it's just a fun game of football, you know? Last week, obviously, we gave up a lot of points too. I mean, we just didn't play very well, honestly, and we came up big at the end and got that win, and this week we really focused in practice on just getting better as a team and lining up right every play and trying to just get those big tackles in the backfield like we did all night.
West Central was so great for so long. All those back-to-back state championships. They took a little dip, but are they back now as one of the top in the class?
I think even the last couple of years with Vince Benedetto, they started that march back, and Chris Hernandez has really impressed me with the way he's handled this team. And yes, they've had 2 one-point games this year, a 1-point loss and a 1-point win. And then this game, to stop Sioux Falls Christian, they stopped him in the backfield, just like Logan Maris said. They got into the backfield, caused a ton of tackles for loss, took a few takeaways, and it was defense first for the Trojans.
All right, we will hear from Coach Hernandez coming up later in zone coverage. 11B, Jim River at home. This is the Scotland Menno Co-op playing in 11B, taking on Winter, the #1 team in 11B. And Winter's really good.
Winter has like 4 running backs. So this is Aiden Barfus, their sophomore, who from the second play from scrimmage absolutely torched the Jim River defense. And then Joey Cole, their quarterback, who is an all-state wrestler, found his way in and gives us a thumbs up. But Jim River tried to come back into this one and got connected for a touchdown. Seiler, Paul pulls one in, but they're down 16-6 at this point, and it was all Winter. There's like a little bobble on the reverse here. Totally faked me out. But they find a way with Riley Orrell, one of their, I said, 4 running backs who are able to get 100 yards on any occasion. He goes in for the long touchdown, and then it was just long touchdown after long touchdown. Their top running back, returning from last year, Caden Keyser, also punched one in. So they've got so many different weapons, such good blockers, and such great tacklers. I had to see it for myself, but they absolutely have all the pieces to make the run to the championship again.
Of any class, Winter, undoubtedly a solid #1, more than anybody else.
Good. You just don't want to say that about everybody, but yes, they definitely are. I would not be surprised to see Bridgewater Emory Ethan have a strong second half, though, and challenge them come playoff time.
All right, right on. Finally, tonight in 9A, Kadoka at Herreid Selby and the entire area. Herreid Selby coming in 4-0 in this one, and Trey Heddick to Brendan Begeman. And they're off and running, Jandy.
Yeah, this Kadoka area team getting some votes in the poll. Kind of a test for Herreid Selby area, but this Herreid Selby area team has created, I believe, 14 turnovers coming into the game. I might have that number wrong, but it's a ton of 15, I think. And then tonight, getting some more turnovers.
Trey Saylor had that pick 6 right before this, 51-yard touchdown run here. So they got Heddick, they got Begeman, they got Saylor. Kadoka with the score here. Nice grab by Dawson Reckling. Touchdown grab late in the second quarter. But next play after that one, here's Begeman again. The stiff arm, 93-yard touchdown scamper.
He'll do that. They'll put 2 or 3 guys focused just on Begeman, and then if they get the right blocking, he's off for a touchdown. He's been a huge impact defensively and offensively this year, but he's not a one-man show. This Herreid Selby area team is for real.
5-0 now for the Wolverines. Begeman, as you said, he had an interception late in this game, and Herreid Selby.
They have a test next week, I believe, against Ipswich. They're going to play at Northern's new field. That's going to be a lot of fun. Probably the next best test of the season.
All right. We like keeping track of Herreid Selby.
We do.
Good program up there. All right, when we come back, some more coach reaction from tonight in North Dakota and South Dakota.
Varsity Sports Live on Midcoast Sports is presented by Farmers Union Insurance.
Welcome back to Varsity Sports Live. Third quarter now, and we get to some zone coverage, some more coach reaction from around the Dakotas. Let's start in South Dakota, Jandy. In Harrisburg, a win tonight, #1 team. They get to 4-0, but double overtime, they go against Washington, and Harrisburg wins at 29-23.
Second week in a row, they had to really play some resilient fourth quarter football to make it through. And Brandon White wasn't pleased with his team's effort last week. Let's hear what he has to say about the team this week.
Oh, it was electric, man. We just couldn't get in a rhythm first half offensively. Our defense bailed us out of a lot of stuff, and kudos to our defensive staff of keep making adjustments along the way. And then our offensive staff made a ton of adjustments at halftime, and we were able to kind of get in a rhythm and run the football. And then that opened up a lot of our pass game, play action stuff.
He said it. They had to run the football tonight, which is not a new thing. Gavin Ross has done a great job of that, but they really forced them to just give them the little chunks at a time. They ended up doing it for the win, but it took them all game to do that. Washington's defense, to me, was very impressive.
Great stadium out there. You get the lights on, big games. It
was rocking.
Those are fun out there. All right, Harrisburg gets to 4-0. So does Brandon Valley. Brandon Valley, a 13-10 win tonight over O'Gorman.
Yeah, a tough team to play on homecoming at the MAC. Brandon Valley does not have an explosive offense. Found just enough to get this thing done. And their interim coach, Matt Christensen, had this to say.
We'll do whatever it takes to win. And we're a complete team that plays hard and picks each other up from special teams to offense to defense. And, you know, when it requires special plays, we got to have our kids step up and make them, and they did.
He said the same thing Peyton Carroll said. They did what they had to do to get the win. And they've got some tough running backs. Their line does a fantastic job. But really defensively, I think that's what sets Brandon Valley apart from the rest.
Brandon Valley and Harrisburg on kind of collision course right now,
Seems
maybe
like
both.
It, but I'll tell you what, AAA, it's so much fun. You could see Jefferson, Washington, Lincoln, Stevens on a given night. Roosevelt could get back into this thing. Who knows?
Yeah, Brandon Valley and Harrisburg, the two unbeaten so far, both at 4-0. West Central, an impressive win tonight over Sioux Falls Christian, 19-0.
One of the more impressive wins of the night. Exactly. They shut out a high-powered offensive team. Going into the year, Sioux Falls Christian had a couple different quarterbacks. One was hurt, so they played the other, Tate Snyder. And this week they had their old quarterback back, but he was playing out at wide receiver, but they just couldn't get any rhythm going offensively. I wonder if they'll change that going into the future with the first week of really not putting up any points on offense. But actually, we talked to Chris Hernandez after the game in West Central, and he really emphasized how well they played defensively.
They made some big plays. They knew where they were lined up. That was one of the things that we wanted to as well, is get lined up properly, because we had a few times last week where we did, and they just did a great job. And I give a lot of credit to the defense. They played with intensity tonight, and they played for 4 quarters, so it was good.
Yeah.
Trojans get to 3-1. First loss so far for Sioux Falls Christian, as they are 3-1 as well. But West Central, 19-0 tonight over Sioux Falls Christian.
And their only loss was a 1-point loss in the first week of the season to Lennox. So watch out. Trojans could be in the mix here in 11A.
All right, North Dakota, our live game tonight was Fargo South taking on Grand Forks Red River. Red River comes out on top 12-9. And here is head coach Vern Muir after this one.
Our guys are fairly resilient. I think our experiences from our first game and second game, for sure our first game, Brady McQuillan has got a lot of confidence now that he didn't. You know, he could have just completely folded up and been done after giving up the touchdown pass in the end zone, and he's come back and made 2 good catches for us on that drive, and our guys just keep fighting away. And we have a field goal kicker. We don't normally have those in our program. I know other programs get some soccer kids to help out, and we just haven't really been able to get that on a consistent basis. And we got a guy that can do it, and it's really helped us out in all of our games that we have the opportunity to kick field goals.
12-9 tonight. They don't have an offensive touchdown, but Red River gets the win over Fargo South, 12-9. Bismarck, St. Mary's, and Shanley came into tonight, both 2-1, different classes. Shanley in 11AA, St. Mary's in 11A, but St. Mary's comes back after being down 21-7. St. Mary's wins at 28-21.
Yeah, really the game of the night. St. Mary's lost last week, and then they got down early to Shanley, and after the game, Dan Schmreiker had this to say.
I think the difference was we challenged our kids in the second half at halftime to come out, and our first drive was so important, and our offensive line really came to play in that third quarter, and we were able to run the ball. We took that possession, and we were able to run the ball, go down and score. And I just think that set the tone for our kids to really even believe more. But credit our offensive line. Our defense played great the second half. So, you know, it's just a good, fun high school football game.
Saints keep rolling on. They are 3-1 now on the season. St. Mary's over Shanley tonight, 28-21. And in 11B in North Dakota, Kindred all over Central Cass. We like Central Cass because there's the Squirrels, and we like they got some great names on this team. They were 4-0. Kindred was 3-1 coming into this game, and Kindred just lowered the boom on them, 37-0 tonight. And here is Matt Crane, the Kindred head coach.
It feels great. You know, anytime we can get a win, whether it's 1 point or 30 points, you know, we'll take it. So we know that the game snowballed a little bit on them. It was a much tighter game than the score shows, but you know, we'll take it any way we can get it.
All right, good win for Kindred as they beat Central
Big
Cass.
surprise tonight.
37-0 the final in that one. We got the rundown when we come back, and a little coming up this weekend on Midco Sports.
Varsity Sports Live on Midco Sports is presented by AREA Orthopedics and South Dakota State University.
Coming up live Saturday on Midco Sports, we've got Drake at the University of North Dakota. That's a 4 o'clock kickoff on Midco Sports. We'll be live as well at the Sanford International at 7 o'clock on Saturday night. Check those out. Here is the rundown. See you next week.